Hi, in this particular playlist we're going to be looking at the 2017 paper 3. So the whole idea is I'm going to run the video for about 20 to 30 minutes or so. Please do stop and start, download the paper, have a go at the questions for yourself and then compare your solutions. Okay, so let's move on then to question number 1, which deals with a Venn diagram, and we're told that the overall set is odd numbers less than 30, and then we've got set A and set B. Okay, well the odd numbers less than 30, we need to really write all of those out, because this is one of those sorts of questions where just being methodical really with it will help you an awful lot to make sure that you get all of the information. So what I'm going to do is write out all of the odd numbers from 1 to 30. So that means then that I can just pick off the numbers and put them into the relevant place on the Venn diagram. Okay, so let's just have a look at number 1. Well, number 1 doesn't appear in either set A or set B, so I'm going to put that in the overall set. Number 3, however, appears in set A, okay, but it doesn't appear in set B, so I'm going to make this set A, this set B, and I'm going to put 3 in there. And basically that's it. You just need to work through each of these in turn to make sure that you've got everything in the right place. Now, as I'm kind of working through this video, it's going to be a little bit tricky, this particular question. So I've got 7, I'm looking at 9 now, and 9 appears in set A. And then I've got 11. Well, 11 is going to appear here. 13 is also going to appear here. 15, I think, appears in set B. 17 is here. 19 appears, I think, in the overall set. 21 is in set A. 23, where's 23 going to go? It's going to go over here. And then I've got 25, that's going to be in B. And then I've also got, I just realised 15 appears in both sets. So actually that's my mistake, 15 should be here. Okay, 27 is going to be in set A. And then finally 29, that's going to sit here. Okay, sorry about that, I put that 15 in the wrong place, but basically you should end up with some sort of diagram looking roughly like that. And then it says a number is chosen at random from the universal set. What is the probability that the number is the set A union B? So basically what we're saying is that overall, there's actually, if you count them all up, there's 15 numbers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can count all of these numbers along at the top here. That's going to get to 15. And the sets A union B is the numbers in here and the numbers in here, of which there's 7. So the probability that it's going to be picked from the A union B set is going to be 7 out of the 15 numbers that we've actually worked with. Okay, hope that's all right. Let's move on then to working with some algebra and solving some simultaneous equations. Okay, with simultaneous equations, I would say these are almost certainly going to appear in the test at some point, either on paper 1, 2 or 3. In this one it happens to be in paper 3. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation away from this equation, because these 3x's will then disappear from each other. So actually they've done really the work already for us. So I've got 3x plus y equals minus 4 and 3x minus 4y equals 6. Okay, so if we're going to take one away from the other, we end up with 3x take away 3x, well that's 0, and then we've got y take away minus 4y. So you've got to be very careful about these minuses. Well, 2 minuses put together is going to be a plus, so that would become then 5y. Okay, and then we've got minus 4 minus 6. Well, that's going to be minus 10. Okay, so we've got 5 values of y equals minus 10. If we want to work out then one value of y, what we do is we divide through by 5, so we get y equals minus 2. And that's actually the first part of the question answered. Okay, so if we've got this value of minus 2 for y, we need then to work out the value of x. Well, you can really choose whichever one of these two equations you want to choose, because now we know the value of y. I'm just going to actually choose the first one, so I'm going to say 3x plus and y equals minus 4. Okay, but this time rather than writing y, I'm going to write minus 2 equals minus 4. Okay, so this minus 2 then, we need to work out the value of x on its own. So if I take this minus 2 over to the right hand side, it's then going to be plus 2. So this would then become 3x equals minus 4 plus 2 is going to be minus 2. So I'm adding 2 to both sides and losing this. Okay. And then I need to divide through by 3 in order to get the value of x on its own. So if I divide through by 3, I'm going to get x on this side, because those 3's cancel themselves out. And on the right hand side, I'm going to get minus 2 over 3, and that actually answers this particular question. So therefore the value of x is minus 2 over 3. Okay, I hope that's all right for you. Fairly straightforward, not a particularly difficult simultaneous equation, but it would be good for you to practice them if they haven't already come up in the exams, or in fact practice them because they might well come up again in paper 3. Okay, so let's move on then to question number 3, and that deals with some information of dress sizes of 25 women. And what it does say, first of all, is find the median dress size. Well, the median dress is, or the median dress size is the person in the middle of the group of 25. So you started with person 1, okay, and they've got a dress size of 8. And then person 2 is a dress size also of 8, so those are 8. And then it works up the next 9 that have got a dress size of 10. Well, you could work all of that out, and then you could just simply start at this side and work towards the middle to get the median size. However, the better way of doing that is to say that the median value is going to be the first person's value plus the 25th person's value, and then halve it, divide it by 2. Now, if you do that, it means then that the 13th person is actually wearing the median dress size. So if you imagine you've got all of these people in a big long row, the 13th person will be the person that's wearing the median dress. So this is the first 2 people, this is the first 11 people. So the 13th person would fall into this group. So therefore the median is going to be size 12. Okay, remember this is the 13th person. Okay, and then it says 3 of the 25 women have a shoe size of 7. Zoe says if you choose at random, one of the 25 people would probably do blah blah, and so on and so on. Is Zoe correct? Okay, well, she's not correct actually. She's not correct because some of the women could have a dress size of 14 and a shoe size of 7. Okay, so hopefully that's all right for you. Let's move on then to question number 4. Right, so this is question number 4. We've got Daniel baking 420 cakes. He bakes only vanilla cakes, and then he bakes some banana cakes, lemon cakes, and chocolate cakes. Well, I think like it was in question 1, you really need to be quite methodical with these sorts of questions. So what I'm going to say is that there's some vanilla, some banana, some lemon, and some chocolate. Okay, and then it says 2/7 of the cakes are vanilla. So really we're looking at vanilla being 2/7. So it's 2/7 of 420. And if you work that out, you're going to get 120. So we're basically saying that there are 120 vanilla cakes. Let's look then at banana cakes. Well, that's going to be 35% of the cakes are banana. So if you like, 0.35 of 420, and that's going to mean we're going to have 147. So I put 0.35. You could write 35% if you wanted to, but that's going to be 147 banana cakes. And then what we're saying is that the ratio of the number of lemon cakes, number of chocolate, is 4 to 5. So that's perfectly fine. So you got 4 9s and 5 9s. But remember that this ratio is the ratio of the remaining cakes. So if you add those two together, you're going to get 267 cakes, and take that away from 420, that means there's 153 cakes left. So basically this is divided up 153 in the ratio 4 to 5. So if we're asking the question, or we're answering the question, work out the number of lemon cakes, we're looking at 4 9ths of 153. So if I work that out to the side, I've got 4 9ths of 153, and that's going to give me an answer of 68. So the answer to this particular question would be 68 lemon cakes. Okay, hope that's all right for you. With those sorts of questions, you do have to be methodical, and also it does pay to kind of read the question through fairly carefully to make sure you understand what it is they're asking you to do. Okay, so let's move on then to question number 5. Question number 5, little bit more involved. It deals with angles in polygons, and it tells you that you've got two squares and a regular 12-sided polygon, and you need to show that polygon P is a hexagon. Okay, well, what do we know about hexagon? Well, it's a 6-sided shape. So what we're saying is that polygon P has 6 sides. Okay, and that's kind of important in order to prove this. Well, okay, there's a couple of things that we can show straight away. So we can say the square, okay, has an internal angle of 90 degrees. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you. And then we've got this regular 12-sided polygon. Okay, so let's just have a look at that. We've got the square, and then what we need to do really is work out this angle around here. Okay, so I'm going to try and work out this angle around here, which is the internal angle of the 12-sided polygon. So the way I would normally do that is that if I know it's 12-sided, what I also know is that the external angle of any regular polygon, the external angles add up to 360 degrees. So if I want to work out the external angle, I can say that's equal to 360 degrees divided by 12, which is 30 degrees, okay? So therefore, I know then that the internal angle of the 12-sided polygon is going to be equal to 180 minus 30, which is going to be 150 degrees. So going back to our particular diagram here, I can say that this angle is 150 degrees. Okay, well that leaves me then with polygon P. So let's just have a look at polygon P, and what information have we got about polygon P? Okay, well what we can say is that we've got an internal angle which is going to be this piece in here, and the internal angle is going to be made up of 360 degrees minus 90 degrees for the square and minus 150 degrees for the 12-sided polygon. Okay, so that means the internal angle is going to equal 120 degrees. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you and you're following through the logic as we do this. Okay, so now I've got an internal angle of 120 degrees. It also means that I can work out the external angle Okay, well, the external angle then is going to be equal to 180 minus 120, which equals 60 degrees. Okay, so therefore, polygon P must be a hexagon as 360 degrees, which is the external angles, divided by 60 equals 6 sides. Okay, I hope that's okay for you. Just need to make sure that you're up to speed with things like working with external and internal angles and all that sort of stuff as well. So do spend a bit of time making sure that you're okay with that. Okay, let's move on then to question number 6. And question number 6 deals with densities. Okay, I believe on these particular papers we haven't actually had a density question yet, so it is well worthwhile having a go at these and making sure that you're okay with it. So it says the density of apple juice is that, density of fruit syrup is that, and again it's one of those very methodical type of questions that seems to be very much in paper 3. So we'll have a go at that, and what I'm going to do is break it down into apple water, the fruit syrup, and then also using that information to work out the density of the drink. Okay, so let's have a look at apple first. Okay, so the problem with these sorts of questions is an awful lot of information that you've got to kind of work through. So what we're going to say is with the apple we've got density equals mass divided by volume. Okay, so that's all right. I haven't got a problem with that because I know that the apple density is 1.05. I also know that the volume of the apple juice is going to be 25 centimetres cubed, so that's okay. I'm checking the units here, so I know it's centimetres cubed and centimetres cubed, which is perfectly fine. So that's going to allow me to work out the mass of the apple juice by multiplying 1.05 times 25, so it's going to tell me the mass of the apple juice is 26.25 grams. Okay, and then really we've got to repeat that with pretty much everything else. So if we have a look then at the fruit syrup. Okay, so with the fruit syrup, again we've got density equals mass divided by volume. Okay, and we're told that the density of the fruit syrup is 1.4. The mass we don't know, but we do know the volume is going to be 15 centimetres cubed, which is here. Okay, so if I multiply that through, I'm going to get 21 grams, which equals the mass. Okay, so I've got the mass of the apple juice, I've got the mass of the fruit syrup. Okay, and now let's have a look at the water, and we're going to do a very similar exercise with the water. Okay, and again, I'm going to write the formula. I'd always advocate writing the formula as often as possible. It'll really help with your thinking, and also if you're using this for revision, it'll really help to cement the formulas that you need for these sorts of questions if you keep writing the formula time and time again. Okay, so density is 0.99. Mass I don't know, but I do know the volume of water is 280. Again, if I multiply that through, I'm going to get 280 times 0.99 is 277.2 grams. Okay, that's fine. So now I've got all of the component pieces of information that I need. I've got the mass, and if I add together all of these numbers, I've got the total mass of the drink itself. So if I want to work out the density of the drink, density equals mass divided by volume again. Okay, so as I mentioned, if I add all of these masses together, this one plus this one plus this one, I'm going to get 324.45 divided by the volume. And it tells us actually in the question, you're making a drink with a volume of 320 centimetres. It's this one at the top here. So if I divide this by 320, I'm going to get the density, which is equal to 1.0139. Okay, and that's grams per centimetre cubed. Now, just one of these things, again, be very careful. They've asked us to give the answer correct to 2 decimal places. So don't fail to lose that, or don't fail to gain that mark right at the very end. There's usually an extra mark for that. So to 2 dp, that's going to be 1.01 grams per centimetre cubed. Okay, I hope that's all right for you. We're going to move on. I think we'll do one more question. Maybe 1 or maybe 2 more questions, and we'll see how we get on with this one. Okay, so this particular one deals with a right angle triangle, and it's going to be question number 7. Okay, right angle triangles, there's only 2 types of questions that you're usually going to be asked with right angle triangles, apart from working out the area, and that's to do with either Pythagoras or to do with SohcahToa. In this particular case, it's actually SohcahToa. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if we're going to be asked to work out the length of AB, that's actually the opposite to the angle of 23 degrees. The longest side of any triangle is, or right angle triangle, is going to be the hypotenuse, and this line here is the adjacent. So we've got now some bits of information that we can use in order to work out the length of AB. So I would always write out SohcahToa, because it just focuses me that at the moment I've got the sine of the angle, because I can use that. The opposite is what I'm trying to find, and I've got the information about the hypotenuse. So I can use the sine relationship and say that sine 23 equals the opposite bit of information I'm after, divided by the hypotenuse, that's 15. Okay, so if I cross multiply, in other words, if I multiply both sides by 15, I get the opposite equals 15 times the sine of 23 degrees. Pop that into a calculator, and you're going to end up with 5.8609 equals the opposite. Okay, give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Well, to 3 significant figures, that again, you've got to be a little bit careful of, is going to be 5.86. So we're basically saying that this line along here is 5.86 centimetres. Okay, I hope that's okay for you. That's taken us up to question number 8. I think what we'll probably do is leave it there. Please do have a look at each of the questions. If you're not sure about anything, put a comment below. I'll always come back to you, and if you look at the videos and the rest of the playlist, we'll start from question number 8 next. Hope that's okay, and look forward to seeing you inside the next video.